Tonight on Ctv3 News, tragedy strikes the old capital as a mother is brutally murdered and her teen daughter is injured in suspected attack. ACP Stacey Smith highlights gaps in domestic violence response as the country faces tragedy and calls for reform. Police reinstatement sparks outcry as the constable who is accused in the alleged kidnapping case of Ryan Budna is reinstated with full pay amid questions on police transparency. And the cabinet approves change in legislation to combat traffic accidents. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Friday, October 24th, 2025.
Looking for quality, tasty, and easy to prepare meals? Look no farther. M&M Frozen Foods, proudly distributed by United Distributors Limited, brings you a wide range of delicious frozen delights, perfect for every occasion. From frozen pizzas, quesadillas, garlic bread, jumbo samosa, cocktail samosas, pizza pockets, spring rolls, and happy noodles, M&M Frozen Foods is fresh, flavorful, and convenient for busy lifestyles. Whether you're planning a quick dinner, hosting a gathering, or stocking up for the week, M&M Frozen Foods has you covered. Available now at leading supermarkets and stores nationwide through United Distributors Limited. M&M Frozen Foods, extensive variety to satisfy every craving.
Attention farmers, the New World screwworm is a serious threat to livestock, pets, wildlife, and humans. It causes yield losses, damages the quality of meat and skins, and can even kill them if left untreated. Check your animals daily. If you see any wounds on them, treat them immediately. Prevention is key. Apply approved healing and fly repellents to the navel of newborn animals after dehorning, ear tagging, or any other practice that leaves wounds on your animals to ensure your animal's well-being. If you notice worms in unusual wounds, report them immediately. Call Baha at 824-4872 or text or WhatsApp 670-7003 or call your nearest Ministry of Agriculture office. And don't forget, never transport or receive animals with injuries. Together, we will prevent the spread of this dangerous disease. This message was brought to you by Baha, OIRSA, AICA, USDA, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security, and Enterprise.
We are the Public Utilities Commission. Since 1999, we have regulated Belize's electricity, water, and telecommunication sectors, ensuring quality services at reasonable rates for consumers. A lot has changed since our establishment in 1999, and so have we. To reflect our evolution and future-focused vision, we are proud to introduce our new identity, where the blend of colors show our balanced and inclusive approach to regulation, where innovation, sustainability, and trust are all equally important. Orange represents the telecommunications sector and symbolizes innovation and connectivity. Green reflects the energy sector, sustainability, and national growth. Blue represents the water sector, highlighting trust, stability, and life-sustaining resources. White symbolizes transparency and accountability, core principles of the PUC. We are the Public Utilities Commission, transitioning to a new look, but our core values remain the same: accountability, excellence, integrity, innovation, and professionalism. Our logo is more than a design. It is our visual commitment to continue to serve the people of Belize with transparency, competence, and professionalism. We are the Public Utilities Commission.
Your government is taking back ownership of our hydro dams and power generation plants, and all shares held in BEL by the foreign-owned Fortis. Belizean assets in the hands of Belizeans. Fully Belizean-owned and managed, with all local employees. Our nation's premier source of clean power generation is now in our hands. Revenues made in Belize will now stay in Belize. Remember, energy security equals economic independence. Your government continues to put Belizeans first.
Good evening with your newscast, also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Jaden Games. The stillness of the early morning hours was shattered by screams and chaos on Complex Avenue in Belize City, where a mother was brutally murdered inside her home and her 15-year-old daughter left injured in what residents are describing as a horrifying act of violence. It was around 3 a.m. when the neighbors say they heard commotion coming from the small green wooden house where 35-year-old Delicia Flowers lived with her children. Minutes later, her teenage daughter, bloodied and disoriented, stumbled outside calling for help. Inside, Flowers laid unconscious on a sofa, suffering from a deep wound to the back of her head, the apparent result of a vicious attack. Both were rushed to the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital, but despite doctors' efforts, Flowers did not survive. She was pronounced dead at 4:48 a.m., leaving behind a devastated family and community struggling to make sense of the tragedy.
On Friday, 24th October 2025 at approximately 3:30 a.m., police responded to reports of a burglary at a residence in Belize City. Upon police's arrival, they encountered two occupants of the house who both exhibited injuries to their bodies. They were rushed to the hospital for medical treatment. However, the 35-year-old female occupant, who has since been identified as Delcia Flowers, succumbed to the injuries that she sustained whilst undergoing treatment. The other female occupant of that residence is listed as in a stable condition.
While investigators continue to piece together what happened, residents believe the violence may have been rooted in an earlier confrontation. Just hours before the attack, shortly after 6 p.m. on Thursday, Flowers' teenage son was reportedly involved in a heated argument with a group of young men from the area. Witnesses say the quarrel turned physical, prompting Flowers' daughter to step in to defend her brother, allegedly striking one of the attackers. Police say they are looking at various angles in this investigation to determine the exact motive behind the gruesome attack.
Police have been speaking to persons in the area in the interest of identifying the person who is said to have committed this very heinous offense, and the department certainly expresses its condolences to the family, and we have dispatched an investigative team into this matter, and we are ensuring that the necessary psychosocial help and all of the different social intervention resources are made available to this family.
Do you believe it was a targeted attack, and have you been able to possibly identify a motive thus far? It's been said that there would have been an argument or a fight that preceded this incident by several hours involving her son.
There are several leads that the police are following up on in this ongoing investigation.
As the investigation continues, grief and fear hang heavy on friends and family who are seeking answers and justice for their loved ones.
But whoever did this is not human. You understand me? These are the type of people we don't need for having that for these streets. We politicians really have to get themselves together, because they don't worry about the poor people, no. Because if it was one of them for their picnic or one of their child, this thing happened to, it would have been fast, it would have been quick results. But because I'm a poor person, They don't want to deal with it. They have to deal with this situation and have to deal with it quick, because man in the streets must start to take street justice and stop call police, because I don't say the police don't do their job, because the police do their job to the utmost. But the policemen hand them tied because of the politicians. Politicians tied their hand. Like I say, for them pick me, this thing happened to. If this one of these things, this thing happened to, then a fast result. Like for them to kill my sister-in-law and rape her daughter. I can't even explain it, man, because like I said, it hasn't come down to it's not come down to woman violence against man, because this young lady had her own man. It's somebody else. So this thing goes beyond violence to woman. This thing goes to crazy people that they run on here in the streets. So there's a loving person, man, happy and cheerful. She don't bother nobody. She not into no violence or nothing like. This was a happy person, man.
Just to live a life.
Yes, I don't see how this person could ever come to something like that and do something to this young lady. I mean, it's really hurt me to my heart. No, really hurt me to my heart. You know.
At this time, police have no suspects. The cries for justice and reform continue to grow louder across Belize following the brutal deaths of Angie Magana and her 2 children in San Felipe earlier this week. A tragedy that has once again placed the issue of domestic violence under the national spotlight. What began as a shocking story of loss has now evolved into a deeper conversation about systematic failures and whether more could have been done to save the young mother and her children from the man who had long threatened their lives. Reports suggest that Magana has sought help from the police in the days leading up to the deadly fire allegedly set by her common-law husband, Francisco Godoy, who also perished from his injuries. It is said that Angie made several attempts to seek protection, raising questions about her pleas were handled and whether authorities missed critical warning signs. The tragedy has sparked widespread outrage, with many Belizeans demanding accountability from the police department and stronger protection for victims of domestic violence. Among those calling for reform is Special Envoy for the Department of Families and Children's, H.E. Rosana Briceño, who has urged law enforcement to take a more proactive stance in addressing reports of abuse. Speaking on the matter today, ASP Stacey Smith confirmed that while Magana did approach the police for advice about her situation, she never filed a formal report regarding recent confrontations with Godoy. That, Smith explained, prevented the department from taking measures that could have included revoking his Supreme Court bail, which had been granted only days earlier.
As it relates to the situation with Ms. Magana and the 2 children, all of whom lost their lives in very horrific circumstances, and certainly the department expresses its condolences as well as the Ministry of Home Affairs. But I believe that clarity needs to be had as to the extent of police's interaction with Ms. Magana. I can categorically say that no report was made by Ms. Magana at the time or leading up to that incident. The extent of Ms. Magana's interaction to the police based on interviews that were conducted with the officers in that location shows that Ms. Magana visited the station and asked for advice should Mr. Godoy interfere with her. She would advise that if that should happen, she should make a report to the police. She should also go to the magistrate court to obtain a restraining order, and she should also visit the office of the DPP and advise them that he was in breach of the conditions of his bail. So the circumstance at hand, I need to reiterate categorically that absolutely no report was made. Had Ms. Magana made a report, the course of action would have certainly followed. Ms. Magana in the past have made 2 reports, and all of those reports were acted upon. So I don't believe that if Ms. Magana would have made a report, a different course of action would have been taken.
What is the following steps after a report is made?
After a report is made, when the statement is reviewed, and if what is stated in the statement constitutes an offense, the person who is implicated will be detained. However, even in circumstances where what was stated was not essentially an offense, but it creates a situation that would cause police to have some level of alarm, the persons would be sought out by police and invited to the station to see what can happen in terms of discussion with a view to de-escalate, and that person will also be advised of the fear that the individual has in relation to them.
Moving forward, ASP Smith stated that the department is actively exploring additional strategies to enhance its response to comparable cases and foster overall growth.
Certainly, the police department continues to ramp up its sensitization. I can tell you that since that incident, we have received several calls from persons. Apparently, in the past, persons were of the view that they would not place as much importance on situations that they've had. We've received several persons who have come into the station to make reports for incidents that date back 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and all are being dealt with. It is our hope that when we deal with these statements and take actions, that urgency that is now being felt by citizens in the country is reverberated into the court system and meaningful actions are done. I can also say that the department is currently in the process of having a one-stop shelter, a building which would include all the sources that a survivor of domestic violence needs. So that means it will have human services, it will have the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, it will have medical services as well as the police officers there. And the object of this is to ensure that when a situation happens, the person only needs to go to one location to access all that they need. I've been advised that we have already secured a promise for financing for that building. The location of that building has already been identified, and what has delayed the process is the drafting of the structure of the building in such a way that it achieves what is sought to be achieved by it. So the department certainly takes the opportunity to encourage all persons who are victims of domestic violence or persons who know other persons who are victims of domestic violence to encourage them to make a report. The police can only act within the confines and the ambits of the law. We can only act when a report has been made or the situation is such that it enforces or it requires us to act. So we encourage all persons to go and make the report. And if ever you would have made a report and you believe the actions that were taken by the officers was not as prompt as you want or as to your desire, you can always place a call to the Office of the Commissioner of Police.
In related news, the Caribbean Women in Leadership, CIWIL, Belize National Chapter has joined the nation in mourning the deaths of Angelita Magana, her son Tishan, and her daughter, Shadia Magana. In a statement issued on October 22, 2025, CIWIL Belize condemned the tragedy and reaffirmed its stance against all forms of violence toward women and children. The organization emphasized that true leadership cannot thrive where fear and violence persist, and urged authorities and communities to take decisive, coordinated action to prevent further loss of life. CIWIL Belize outlined 3 key priorities in its call to action: protection through urgent reforms in restraining orders and emergency response systems, accountability, demanding stronger institutional responses from law enforcement, the judiciary and social services, and solidarity, encouraging communities, educators, and faith leaders to unite against gender-based violence. The organization reaffirmed its commitment to building a Belize where women and children live free from violence in safety, dignity, and equality, calling the issue not only one of justice, but of humanity and national integrity. Police Constable Barrington Mai Flowers, the officer accused of allegedly assisting in the kidnapping of Joseph Bunda in Orange Walk Town last August, has been reinstated from interdiction and placed on full pay suspension. This development raises serious questions about the accountability and transparency within the Belize Police Department. Initially, Constable Mai was placed on interdiction on September 8, 2025. A formal letter from the Belize Police Department stated that he would be removed from active duty and receive only half his salary while an investigation took place. The document clearly emphasized that all police powers and privileges associated with his rank would be suspended during this period. The letter read that in part, whilst interdicted, Mai will receive the 1/2 of his month's salary. As it relates to allowances, Mai was informed that only housing allowance will be paid. Additionally, all powers and privileges vested in Mai as a constable will be held in abeyance, but he would be subjected to the same discipline and penalties as if he had not been interdicted. However, less than a month later, this decision was abruptly reversed. On October 3rd, 2025, a second official communication signed by Acting Commissioner of Police Bartholomew Jones amended the previous directive. The new order declared that Constable Mai's suspension was now effective from September 8th, 2025, but crucially, he would be receiving his full salary during the suspension period. The message also instructed him to remain available for the duration of the investigation. The letter further stated that the withheld half of his salary from September 12, 2025 to October 3rd, 2025 would be reimbursed. As Acting Police Commissioner Bartholomew Jones commented publicly on September 19th about the possibility of disciplinary action should the investigation find that Mai neglected his duties.
I will say this though, that there are many instances where police officers have run afoul of the law, and it has been police officers who charge them and put them before the court. So if it means that a police officer may have reneged in his duty, if that is the findings, then he will be put before a disciplinary tribunal, as the case may be. So we'll just wait to see what the results of the investigation will be.
Can you say who was behind the decision to put him on interdiction? Because we have asked both the Prime Minister and the Minister of Home Affairs, and they say it wasn't their call.
Well, the call actually was mine. After we have what the evidence that have come forward just thus far, where it is he has been identified as the only person has been identified so far, and so with that I thought that it was sufficient to put him on interdiction while the investigation continues. And as I said, that this is the same that occurs whenever a police officer, to the extent that there's some credible information that they may be involved in a crime, we will normally put them on interdiction. So that's so I signed that in interdiction.
Throughout this tumultuous process, Constable Mai has steadfastly denied all allegations, maintaining his innocence amidst mounting public scrutiny. The controversy continues to unfold, raising critical questions about the integrity of disciplinary procedures within the Belize Police Department and the transparency of its investigations into serious criminal allegations. Coming up next, government announces comprehensive plan to modernize transport infrastructure and enhance public safety. Stay tuned.
Olida has been a part of the fabric of Belizean society. It's part of Belizean culture. And now, under new management and ownership by the government of Belize, it is contributing significantly to national development.
Belize Government Lotteries Limited is proud to officially launch the Fui Bolido app, now available for download from the Apple Play Store and Google Play. This launch is a revolutionary step in making Belize's favorite games more accessible than ever before. The innovative mobile platform will allow players to purchase Bolido, Ordinary Lottery, and Jackpot Lottery directly from their smartphones, giving players the freedom to play and win from anywhere in Belize. The Fui Bolido app will provide a trusted and secure payment gateway that will make every transaction simple and reliable.
Shop smart for your Samsung devices in Belize and enjoy benefits you won't get anywhere else. When you shop locally for your Samsung, all your devices will be covered by a 1-year local warranty. You won't get that when shopping with the other guys. When in doubt, always look for the Cellular World seal to know you're getting the real deal. Shop with confidence and enjoy your Galaxy knowing that it can be repaired locally at our Samsung Service Center by certified Samsung technicians using original parts and machinery. Even better, enjoy the best LTE experience in Belize, knowing that your Samsung devices are compatible with major local carrier networks. Get the ultimate Samsung Galaxy experience only when you shop from authorized Samsung resellers nationwide.
Vacancy. 2 vacancies exist at Sugar City Medical Center. Nurse, full-time. Requirements: ability to manage patients pre- and post-surgery, at least 2 years of experience and bilingual. Pharmacist, full-time. Requirements: experience in a hospital ward setting, at least 1 year of experience and bilingual. If you are interested in joining our amazing team, send CV, recommendation letter, police record, and current license to sugarcitymedicalcenter@gmail.com. Deadline for applications October 31st, 2025.
Hoy te vamos a contar un cuento basado en una historia real. Chao Dengue. Capítulo 1. Síntomas del dengue. Había una vez una familia que, sin saberlo, llevaba consigo un visitante no deseado. No era un monstruo ni un fantasma, pero sí algo que podía debilitar su cuerpo y robarle la energía. Pronto llegaron la fiebre, acompañada de dolor de cabeza, principalmente detrás de los ojos, dolor de cuerpo, náuseas y un sarpullido que se enrojecía por su piel. ¿Qué debían hacer en ese momento? Lo primero era no caer en la automedicación. En la mente del padre resonaban las palabras de los expertos. La clave está en buscar ayuda temprana. Así que, sin dudarlo, se dirigió a la unidad de salud más cercana, donde le brindaron la atención necesaria. Pero la historia no termina ahí. Si alguien en su familia también enfrentaba la misma situación, era enviado a su hogar con una lista de recomendaciones para ser cuidado allí. El reposo se convertía en su mejor escudo y la hidratación en su arma más poderosa. Abundante líquido y, sobre todo, sales de rehidratación oral serían sus aliados en la recuperación. La familia aprendió que la acción temprana podía marcar la diferencia para que esta historia tenga un final feliz. Y colorín colorado, la salud hay que cuidarla en todos lados.
In a decisive move towards safeguarding lives and fostering sustainable development, the Ministry of Constitutions and Religious Affairs, Indigenous Affairs, and Transportation has revealed a groundbreaking initiative approved by the Cabinet of Belize. This ambitious plan, set to be implemented through a series of legislative amendments by November 2025, underscores the government's unwavering commitment to revolutionizing the nation's transport sector, bolstering public safety, and investing in the future of Belizean mobility. Central to this transformative agenda are a series of legislative reforms meticulously crafted to address pressing safety concerns and promote equitable, efficient transportation practices across the country. Recognizing the alarming surge in motorcycle-related accidents and fatalities, the government is instituting mandatory training and certification requirements for all motorcycle users. This measure targets Class D drivers license applicants, ensuring that operators possess essential skills and knowledge to navigate Belize's roads responsibly. On Tuesday, CEO in the Ministry of Transport, Chester Williams, spoke to the media about the recommendation made.
We have another paper on the table this morning before Cabinet, a very important one that is going to address motorcycles in general, starting from the process of obtaining a license for motorcycle to the laws that governs the use of motorcycles. Also be looking at training in order to obtain a motorcycle license certification from ITVET or any other reputable institution that may provide training in the maneuvering of motorcycles. And importantly, it is also going to address increase of fees for motorcycle violations. We have, for example, those motorcycles that overtakes on the right-hand side of the road. We're going to increase the penalty for that. Motorcycles that overtake when an oncoming vehicle is coming, increase the license for that, the fees for that. Riding motorcycles without helmet, increase the fees for that as well. And we will also be working with the Bureau of Standard to ascertain a type of helmet that is going to be certified. We will look to other jurisdictions to see what type of helmets they have there that are certified, and we may adapt something from some other jurisdiction. At this time, we're looking at the DOT helmets. Those are very durable and they're certified in the US and some parts of the Caribbean.
To combat the scourge of drunk driving, authorities will strengthen laws pertaining the use of breathalyzers, modernizing enforcement capabilities, and deterring unsafe behaviors behind the wheel. In the area of enhancing visibility and safety, new regulations will oversee the use of tinted windows in vehicles, balancing aesthetic preferences with public safety considerations. Amendments to border transport regulations will promote fairness for Belizean commercial truck operators, fostering equitable trade practices and supporting local businesses. When it comes to dealer licensing clarifications, the existing dealer's general license will be clarified to encompass both motor vehicles and motorcycles. Additionally, a distinct licensing regime for motorcycle dealers and repair shops will be established, promoting professionalism and accountability within the sector. In a move to decentralize authority and improve community services, amendments to key Carker regulations will empower the Village Council to legally collect traffic fees dedicated to road maintenance and community development projects. And in tandem with legislative measures, the Cabinet has approved a significant capital injection of $2 million Belizean aimed at revitalizing Belize's transport hubs. This funding will facilitate the urgent rehabilitation of the Belize City, Pound Yard, and Belmopan bus terminals, transforming them into modern facilities that meet national standards for safety, accessibility, and dignity. Regional leaders within the Caribbean community, CARICOM, are voicing growing concern over recent U.S. military operations targeting vessels in Caribbean waters, which have resulted in the deaths of numerous individuals suspected of involvement in drug trafficking. Foreign Minister Francis Fonseca emphasized Belize's apprehension regarding the escalating military presence in the region. While acknowledging the serious issues posed by drug and human trafficking, Fonseca stressed that cooperation in combating these crimes must adhere to international laws and conventions, ensuring respect for sovereignty and human rights.
Yeah, we're very, very concerned about these latest actions and the sort of military build-up in the Caribbean Sea. And these, what are extrajudicial killings. So, we have, of course, as a responsible government, we have engaged with our partners and friends in CARICOM. So we're having a discussion about that issue. As you all know, CARICOM issued a very firm statement on the issue, expressing our concern. Belize was a part of putting that statement together. So we stand in solidarity with CARICOM on this issue. We're very concerned. We want to ensure that the Caribbean remains a zone of peace. That is absolutely critically important to us as a country and to our CARICOM brothers and sisters. And we want to maintain the fundamental principle of international law that, if you suspect that people are trafficking drugs or that they're engaged in criminal activity, that there's a process to deal with those individuals so that there are no unilateral decisions to kill people, as I said, extrajudicial killings or militarization of the zone. Now,
In a related development, the Trinidad and Tobago government announced that the U.S. Navy's guided missile destroyer USS Gravely will be visiting the capital from October 26th to the 30th. The vessel, which hosts approximately 300 sailors, is scheduled to participate in joint training exercises with the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force during its 5-day stay. This deployment coincides with a period of increased U.S. military activity in the Caribbean, reflecting broader security concerns and efforts to bolster regional cooperation. The UDP, during their press conference yesterday morning, also spoke on the current economic climate in our country. Opposition area representative of Mesopotamia, Leah Mark Chang, issued a stark warning about the mounting cost of living confronting Belizean households and announced his party's opposition to the proposed 20% rate increase by Belize Water Services Limited, BWS. Chang emphasized that Belizeans are facing relentless increases in everyday essentials. He pointed to the recent inflation in food, utilities, housing, and other basic goods as evidence that many families are simply unable to absorb further cost pressures. The proposed water rate hike arises from BWS's recent submission to the Public Utilities Commission, PUC, requesting an average tariff increase of approximately 20% to take effect in April 2026.
We firmly reject the outrageous 20% water tariffs increase requested by BWS, Belize Water Services Limited. BWS has not increased water since 2015 of April. 10 years ago, during that decade, they operated profitably, even implementing a rate decrease back in 2012. If they managed efficiently for 10 years without an increase, why do they suddenly need a massive 20% increase? Where are they doing the money? The answer is simple. This is not about operational necessity. This is about forcing Belizean families to finance expansion projects that the government should have funded. This 20% increase comes at the worst time possible for our people. According to the Statistical Institute of Belize, bread prices have gone up over 30%. Food costs rose 2% only in July. Housing, water, electricity, gas, and fuel costs increased by 2.6% in a single month. Families are already choosing between medicine and food. They cannot absorb another massive utility increase rate. And after BWS, then the BEL want to come too. So that was double whammy.
There is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
Get the most out of your internet with Centaur's ExpressNet. Are you ready to supercharge your online experience? When connecting to your Velo Mesh device, make sure you're linked to our blazing fast 5 GHz frequency. Why 5 GHz? Faster speeds at a shorter range. 5 GHz is perfect for use in smaller spaces where speed is your top priority. As for the 2.4 GHz, while connection may travel farther, it can lead to slower performance. Remember, choose 5 GHz for your devices and experience the difference instantly. ExpressNet, bringing you the best speeds for the ultimate online experience. For more information, contact us at 380-0101.
Welcome to Design Depot, where you'll find premium quality products from trusted brands, all in one place. Visit us today for quality products, expert service, and the brands you trust. Design Depot, all in one place.
Oh man, one more scroll and my data is done.
Wait, who said anything about running out? Smart just dropped a more powerful plan that now includes social media data, so you can scroll till your fingers cramp.
Enjoy free social media data now included in our Flex Choice and Select postpaid plans.
Visit any Smart showroom to sign up today because connectivity just got even better. Smart, bringing people together.
Every day, the demand on your business get higher. More productivity, better equipment, and reliable support to keep up with a fast-moving world. At Cellular World Business Solutions, we're ready to help you boost performance across every operation. Don't let outdated technology hold you back. With our certified and supported solutions, your business stays ahead. We supply office equipment, printers, inks, and toners, software licenses, IT system assembly as your Dell Platinum and Cisco partner, appliances, and custom orders tailored to your needs. From startups to large enterprises and renowned institutions, we serve every corner of the country because no industry can afford to fall behind on technology. Let's take your business to the next level. Contact us today at 610-2494. Cellular World Business Solutions, your reliable partner in business success.
The government of Belize, through the Ministry of Economic Transportation, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security and Enterprise, and the Permanent Mission of Belize to the United Nations, is proud to announce the approval of a $3 million Belizean dollar grant from the Italian Ministry of Environment and Energy Security. maize. The significant funding underscores Belize's commitment to sustainable development and climate resilience. This new grant will complement the ongoing Sustainable and Inclusive Belize program, which is funded by the Inter-American Development Bank. Together, these investments will strengthen efforts to promote sustainable agriculture and deforestation-free value chains. This initiative is under the framework of the Memorandum of Understanding on Sustainable Development between MACE and the CARICOM states. The funds will support the market integration of deforestation-free value chains in the Sustainable and Inclusive Belize project, fostering innovation, resource mobilization, and co-financing business plans for farmers, groups, and micro, small, and medium enterprises. The project aligns with Belize's strategic priorities outlined in the National Agriculture and Food Policy and the planned Belize Medium-Term Development Strategy, MTDS. Its primary goal is to strengthen Belize's capacity to connect potential deforestation-free value chains with national and international markets, as well as promoting environmentally sustainable agriculture practices. This partnership exemplifies Belize's unwavering dedication to poverty eradication, fostering sustainable agriculture, improving food security, and protecting the country's natural resources. The government remains committed to supporting innovative growth in Belize's agriculture landscape, ensuring a resilient and sustainable future for all citizens. UK officials embark on a fact-finding mission to Guatemala and Belize from October 11th to the 22nd, aiming to observe firsthand how local communities are actively safeguarding their forests and developing resilient livelihoods in the face of climate change. The visit included field excursions to farms, forest monitoring stations, and restoration sites, alongside discussions with community leaders and partners involved in conservation efforts. In Belize, the delegation explored community-led forest management initiatives and cross-border conservation projects within the Maya Forest. According to Friends for Conservation and Development, the team traveled to the Vaca Forest Reserve to meet the beneficiaries and observe the climate resilience activities supported by the Biodiverse Landscape Fund, the BLF. The group also toured Guatemala's renowned Maya Biosphere Reserve in Petén, stopping at communities such as Paso Caballos, Ushacun, and the Arbol Verde forest concession. Their activities focused on forest restoration, biodiversity assessments, and water resource management programs. The Biodiverse Landscape Fund aims to combat poverty, conserve biodiversity, and address climate change across 6 vital landscapes globally. By working closely with local governments and communities, the initiative strives to ensure that conservation and sustainable development efforts are tailored to local needs and have a lasting positive impact. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Monday, October 27th, here on Ctv3 News and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at www.ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at CTV3 News BZ. From all of us here at CTV3 News, have a safe and pleasant weekend. Thank you for watching and listening, and have a splendid night.